So there's this group of guys who like hate women and they're incels, but they're black. So I call them Nigcels.
Streets. So at the end of the day, if you're not in the streets, why the fuck do you care about snitches snitching? They perform a net benefit for our community.
And let's say this one. Let's just say this one thing. Why is somebody who is connected to 100 murders 20 to 30 years ago still alive? This person has not gotten the death penalty, right? Like, why is this person still alive and I'm paying my tax dollars every year to the federal government to keep him constantly going, right? Why is this happening? Okay, we know what he's done. The system knows what he's done. And I have the reason why. It's because Wayne Perry is nothing without the enablers around him and the people around him and the people who would say, oh, well, he deserves to live his life out in a humane way. Well, that's not what happened to the 100 other people who might have been a victim of his actions. So when it comes down to him, I'm very upset at this system that a lot of people in the black community advocating for, right, and vote for to keep these people alive. Wayne Perry would be nothing without the community. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a ghetto to raise a Wayne Perry. I'll tell you that right now. And a people in a ghetto that enable that behavior and don't want to take the necessary steps to clean it up. And we know what to do to clean it up, okay? But I guarantee you, if the feds say we're going to go ahead and lay him down, there's going to be some group of people who want to sit up here and tell me that he needs to live the rest of his days out, right? So that's another thing. The village is definitely raising these monsters, right? And not even doing what it takes to put justice down as an example to other people.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Like, situations like this, it's very hard for me to keep my politic, right? Because, like, while I'll say I don't think anybody has the right to kill anybody, in situations like this, I kind of agree with Alexander, and I don't want to be a hypocrite, but I go, why does that person deserve to live at all? You know, what could he possibly contribute to society? What redemption could possibly be there for him? I am still kind of against it, but I completely understand and I kind of feel that way. And I think maybe even that's another conversation, like, you know, capital punishment. Do some people absolutely deserve that type of death? Or is it more punishment to watch them suffer? But then again, we're paying for it. So, real quick, if any of the mods want to touch on the subject really quick before I go in and start playing some clips from ALPO, or have any feelings on, you know, this whole snitching or not snitching thing?
I'm not a East Coast dude, so all this news is relatively new to me. And that's not to say that it's new timeline-wise. It's just to say that I'm in the South and we have other shit that we are more concerned about, like, you know, El Chapo's arrest and things of that nature, the border crisis and all that jazz. But I'm, you know, looking forward to this conversation. I feel like it's going to be very educational, very generative. I am absolutely here for the very nuanced discussion that we're about to embark on surrounding crime, criminals, and snitches, and whether or not two wrongs can make a right. I'm ready for the nuance. I'm ready to see mental gymnastics. I am just here for it. And I'm also here for the larger question of whether or not means justify ends. Not so much ends justifying means, but whether or not means can justify ends. And I'll yield right there.
Cool. Anybody else?
Well, sure, thanks for hosting this conversation, man. I think you're the best person for it, being that you're on the East Coast, but it makes me wonder if ALPO was a confidential informant, which means he worked for the government. Was he really snitching, or was he really doing his job and just writing a report up as what we would call a confidential informant detective for the government? Like, was he actually doing his job, or was he actually snitching?
What? Hold on a second. So first off, you mean the kid that didn't finish high school from Puerto Rico that grew up in a his biography. He wasn't coming in every day with a shirt and tie, and he wasn't a. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not shifting we're not doing this. You're not about to shift the blame to the government like he was some stooged employee, like it was all this plot that the federal government hired him and put him around these people in order for them to get or plant drugs on somebody. That I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but that's the line of logic people use when they ask that question.
No. What I'm saying, I can clarify what I'm saying is, once he signed a confidential agreement with the government, he started receiving a monthly paycheck.
How much was that monthly paycheck, and what is the evidence of that paycheck?
I think they said it's like $3,800 a month. I think is what Sammy the Bull.
Where did you get that?
Sammy the Bull paperwork was $3,800 a month for his.
We're talking about ALPO right now.
I'm just saying that's what a CI monthly stipend was, $3,800 a month.
Okay, so it's $3,800 a month while you're going to jail. Because once they
are you out of jail? Because the thing that people were confused about was, how did ALPO get out and have this money that he didn't save when he was in jail? And it cleared that, staying in New York is expensive. He got a brand new truck. He wearing jewelry around. He shouldn't have any money, but when you think about it, he's a CI on the payroll.
All right, so I don't mind. Hold on. I don't mind having this conversation. I do want to save it to the end. It's very hard for me to believe. I wish Ted was in here. Just knowing people from Harlem, like $3,800, like the money that those guys were making at that time is just, that's pennies, right? Like I think it's pretty nonsensical to think that you could actually even pay somebody like ALPO to do and be around those people like that, $3,800, and it'd be worth it for him, and then have him serve 19 years in jail. If we want to have the conversation about informant, cool. I don't want to put that on ALPO and or Sammy the Bull, because I think it cheapens it, and I think Alexander is right. It does give our community this excuse to quote-unquote blame the state instead of the individuals in our community who are doing fuck shit, right? Like, all these people aren't informants. But I do want to talk about the morality of snitching and or not snitching. I understand it if you are a criminal, why you don't want other criminals to snitch. But for the life of me, I can't understand, outside of being scared of retaliation from these people, why we don't champion this as a community, right? It literally, in my opinion, is one of the biggest problems we have in our community. We have such brazen crime. I'm not talking about people sneaking through your window at 2 a.m. in the morning when everything is dark and robbing you, whatever. We have children, right, blowing people's heads off in broad daylight, like when they know there's cameras there, right? And I feel like these things don't happen in white areas. Even these same people, when they go to white areas, they don't do this because they know they don't have the protection, the veil of my community believes in stop snitching, right? Like, this was big in Boston and New York. They had like the little stop signs with the stop snitching, and you had little children like wearing this shit. It's like, all these people are not in the streets. All these people are not criminals, right? Like, so somehow they got, like, they'll say stop snitching is only for this community of real niggas, street niggas, crime niggas, but it's all of us who embody this and allow it, right? We see a crime in front of us, we're supposed to shut up. It has nothing involved with us, right? Like, we're supposed to shut up and keep walking. And I want to know why. And it feels like we wear it as a badge of honor. I've been indoctrinated in this myself too, knowing it's wrong, right? Like, I've seen things happen. I'll be like, man, I'm a real nigga. I ain't saying nothing. Let me mind my motherfucking business. But I really think that's wrong. So I'm trying to really unpack, like, why we allow this.
I feel like deep down, like I said, everybody loves these analogies. It takes a village to raise a child, right? Okay. All right. Well, is it the village responsibility when your child's a fucking monster? Do we like, literally? Maybe the village maybe the community, which everybody loves going around in this app talking about, maybe you're not all that great of people if these monsters and criminals are coming from your environments. And then, once again, when people want to take the necessary steps to remove them, let's say the law enforcement wants to get a bit more physical with them, right? You're the first one screaming to take it easy. You're the first, think about it like this. The situation with Wayne Perry, like you said, people know. If DC police were to drug him out of his bed 2 a.m. in the morning and do exactly to him what he had done to 50 other people, you'd have had the NAACP, right? You'd had all these groups. You probably would have had churches out there marching and protesting against the police. It's a culture thing. If you don't want spare the rod, spoil the child, right? That does not only go for inside your home, but outside your home as well. So, like I said, it's a culture thing. You want to believe that the enemy, because think about it. Sherwin, think about it. Anytime we get close to placing responsibility on individuals who do these wrongs in our black community, why is it always they have to somehow divert that to the white man? The system. It's the system. It's
Poverty.
The white man.
It's because we poor.
No. This is what I'm talking about. Those people that divert that responsibility to somewhere else, they are worse than the people that commit the crimes themselves. Because, like I said, these people in these communities don't want to step up.
Let me just read a back channel real quick. Because I feel like a lot of people feel these ways, but you can't even talk about it. And thank God for Clubhouse, because Clubhouse kind of allows us to touch on taboo subjects that you couldn't talk about in real life. Like, I couldn't have this conversation with my cousins because they're idiots who think they're real niggas, right? Like, you can't have this conversation amongst like-minded people. But let me read this back channel, right? And it said, I would like to say thank you for having this room. The no-snitching culture has leaked into civilian society. And so many people use this code, and criminals constantly get away with literal murder out there with witnesses involved. New York is extremely dangerous because of the participation of no snitching. So I'm happy you guys are demonizing the no snitch culture. It's about time men spoke out against this. Completely agree, right? And this is why I only want to have men on the stage right now. I want us to talk amongst ourselves, and then later we can bring everybody else up, right? Like, why do we continue, even those of us who aren't in that lifestyle, why do we continue to support it? Right? Like, we're literally, like, being, like, the platform that these people spring on in order to dominate our community.